Hello, Felicity Wales back with another cooking session. Today I have got out in my garden millions of tomatoes. I'll take you out there shortly and show you. But this is just 1.5 kilos of tomatoes here. I've gotten about 5 kilos of this bush and there's so much more to go. Let me show you. So out my back door I've got Cousinette. If you've watched The Addams Family, you'll understand that one. Parsley, which is fabulous. We'll need some of that. I'll actually grab a few fronds of that for this one. You can see there's a few tomatoes there, a few here. I'm going to have to pick them this afternoon. There's a whole heap in amongst this bush. So many tomatoes, and I've even got an eggplant, my very first eggplant growing in there. So excited. Okay, so I'm back inside with my parsley. I did actually pick up a couple of pieces of basil from my garden as well. I forgot that I had that tucked away underneath that big bush. There's my tomatoes ready, and I've also got on the Thermomix a recipe that I edited. It was a tomato paste recipe, but I've edited it to make a tomato pasta sauce, and we're going to have a look at that one. But first of all, just having a look at the ingredients. I have 1,500 grams of Roma tomatoes, half a capsicum, I'll grab that out of the fridge, some fresh flat leaf parsley, which I've just picked. It says 1 cup. Maybe I need to go get some more. 2 dried bay leaves, some oregano, which we do have from Mum's garden, and 1 tablespoon of Italian herbs, a teaspoon of salt, some black pepper, white sugar, sherry vinegar, or you can use any type of balsamic vinegar, and a tablespoon of corn flour to mix with some of the sauce to thicken it, and olive oil to cover it. So just with the tomatoes, with the parsley and capsicum, I've just diced that up. With tomatoes, I'm just literally just ripping the top off and then cutting them in to quarters. Okay, so having them quartered, that's good enough. Let's hit the start button on our Thermy, and it gives you the warning that this is one of my dodgy brother recipes. Tells you to place 750 grams of the tomatoes into the mixing bowl and chop them. So you're not going to place all of it in there yet. I might just tear that off first. And I'll place 750 grams of them. On one of these, has to be exact. Oh, 751, that'll do me. So I'll tick that. It says to put my lid back on. So put my lid on and hit the play button. You can choose to do this recipe in a pan on the stove, in which case you would use a blender for that step, okay, or a food processor for that step. Okay, so I can tick that that was blended, and then it says add the remaining tomatoes. Well, I don't think I've got another 750 grams of tomatoes here. I could mix up some more. I do have a couple just here. Try and get the softer ones from your harvest when you're harvesting. Even some of the little ones are really soft at the moment. So some of the little ones are just ripening up really quickly on the vine. Look at that, 750 exactly. So ticking off 750 grams of tomatoes, a cup of fresh parsley. Now I haven't used a cup, I'm just going to use what I've got, and half a red capsicum. So what I'm going to do is just grab those and throw those in. Same with the capsicum. Throw that in. I've even added the basil in those as well, a few leaves of basil. I love basil. Okay, so ticking both those off, it says to put the lid on again. 8 seconds. I'm ticking that. if I have a quick look at that, just wait for it to release. Just look like blended tomatoes at the moment with a bit of greenery in it, which is fine. This recipe is about boiling the mixture and reducing it into a strong flavour tomato sauce that has a little bit of thickness to it, and we help thicken it up with corn flour in this particular recipe. So I'm going to tick that that's done, hit the next, remembering you can do all this in a food processor, okay, before you put it in your saucepan if you're using a saucepan on the stove. Just means that, you know, you have to use your scales if you want to, and use your food processor as well, or blender. So it says add a bay leaf, your oregano. So I've got some oregano from my mum's garden. I'll just pop in that straight in there. I just pick the leaves of the oregano and hang them up on my window until they're dried, crunchy, and then I'll use them in a recipe. I've also got a tablespoon of Italian herbs. I'm just going to eyeball that. About a teaspoon of salt in there. So I'm just going to use this spoon because it's already done. That's probably more like 2 teaspoons of white sugar in there. You do you. If you don't want sugar, leave it out. You can also use honey or any other sweetener. Throw some dates in. Let's live a little and experiment. It's all about getting confidence to experiment yourself. Vinegar, sherry vinegar is in the recipe, but I'm just going to use some caramelized balsamic, so that's a sweetener as well. So that's a little bit there. And I forgot the bay leaves. Just a couple of bay leaves. Oops. And just try to get those out before you blend up your mixture. It's going to stir it on speed 2 and for 1 hour at 90 degrees. First hour, I'll tick that off. It says scrape down the sides, then cook for another 30 minutes on 100 degrees. It's at 90 degrees at the moment. It says to place the Varoma dish on the top without the Varoma lid instead of the cap. So I'm going to take this very carefully off my cap. And that's just to allow more steam to come out so that it can thicken up. So I'll take that off. It actually isn't very thick or doesn't look very hot, but I'm sure it is if I touched it. This is my Varoma. So the Varoma has a base. It has a tray, so you can actually cook steamed vegetables at the bottom, chop some fish or even chicken on the top, and it has a lid that goes on the top like so. It sits right on here. There we go. And that gives a multi-level cooking option. So it's telling me to put the Varoma on without the lid. So we take the basket and the lid. So it's just got this, and that will just allow a bit of disbursement of the steam while keeping it safe from splashing out the top. Okay, so we're going to turn that on 30 minutes and off I go. I might have time to get the clothes off the line. So I'm back. This is still going. I just wanted to let you know that you can interrupt it at any time. And I had done that just by hitting the pause button, and I used a cup like this and took the lid off carefully, and I scooped out some of the liquid. So I've got half a cup of the liquid in there, and I allowed it to cool down for a little bit. The recipe doesn't say to cool it down, but it's a better idea to cool it down so you can mix it with a tablespoon of the corn flour, which I have mixed with a little bit of water, just so it's runny. And now that this is cooled, I can just add that into the corn flour. So that warms it a little bit, but not all the way. So just mixing the corn flour and the sauce. And you'll notice at this stage there's still lots of skin in there. Don't worry about that because this will get blended towards the end. Rather than be waiting for the next 30-minute episode, I'm just going to pour this in now because I do have something else that I'm making. I'm making some sourdough chocolate croissants. It's my first attempt at those. No, I won't be making a video of that just yet. Hopefully in the future. So just quickly swirl that down in the product and that will start to thicken. So I'll leave that to do its thing. I'm going to just tick that that's been done and I'm going to move straight on to the next instruction that says to scrape down the sides, do exactly what I did, mix in the tomato sauce with the corn flour and pour that back in. And we're going to put the varoma back on and we're going to do it for another 30 to 45 minutes. It's just going to stir it at speed 2. So it's going to go for 30 minutes. I'll have a look and see if it's the consistency that I want, remembering that as it cools it gets thicker as well. I only need this recipe for pasta and I'll be storing it in my fridge. You put a layer of olive oil over the top and just remove that every time you want to use it. You can use the olive oil in frying up some meatballs or something. Yeah, so let's start this and I'll see you when I get back. I'm back and I'm going to check it very carefully. If you lift up the varoma lid and see all the sauce that's all over there, actually getting a scraper so I can scrape all that goodness back in. I will take that lid off very carefully, put that upside down as well, and I'm just going to make sure I get all of that back into the sauce. It's thickening up nicely, yeah, and I'll do the same here. Just try and get as much sauce off as I can. Get these bay leaves out. And you wouldn't believe that's really reduced down to about a litre of liquid. So if you look at that, there's only about a litre of liquid left in there. So I'll hit the next button. It says to place the varoma with the cap, put the cap on. Now this does go crazy, it sounds really dangerous. You can wait for it to cool down before you do this if you like. You've got to allow the mixture to cool in the next step anyway, before you transfer it to some sterilised jars. I'm just going to pop them into however many goes into here, probably only 2. I'll probably only be able to fill up 2 jars, but I've got a third one there just in case. It goes at speed 8 for 10 seconds, and 10 seconds doesn't sound long, but it is long when it sounds like this. Okay, so I ended up giving away a couple of my pasta sauces, but not before I got to try it on one of my sourdough pizzas. I actually do make my own sourdough now. Beautiful big loaf here, which I can't wait to break into, which might be nice with some warmed up pasta sauce. I've actually made another batch since then. If you want to use it for pasta, simply cook your pasta, heat the sauce in the microwave, throw it on top it with some cheese, and away you go. It's a really easy Friday evening meal when you just want to put your feet up and watch a movie or something. If you'd like this recipe, please type recipe into the comments and I will send you the link to my school community where there is a course for the ConnectedWeCan Cooking Series, which you have free access to. So you have free access to all my videos on that series on the school community. So please like and share, and I will see you next time.